Welcome to Yoga Bites. Today we're going to take a low lunging sequence. So this is going to help us open up through the hips, through the hamstrings, and hopefully engage left and right brain as we work with both sides, top and back of the mat. Let's start to warm up a little bit. So if you're able to come into child's pose, please start there. If not, come and find your downward facing dog. Whichever pose you're in, I want you to find your breath. Deep breaths in, deep breaths out. It's important that we find our body and our breath before we start to move. Being in this lightly inverted pose is going to help us draw out of a normal standing or sitting posture, releasing some of the muscles that perhaps are a bit fatigued from being in that position, and also in that way changing our perspective. Now, if we're in our downward facing dog, we're all going to join, so stay there. If you're in your child's pose, let's make sure the fingers are spread nice and wide. Tuck the toes under, make sure the elbows point back so that we've got external rotation, not internal rotation in the upper arms before we lift those hips nice and high. Take a deep breath in, puff up a little bit between the shoulder blades, draw the thumbs towards each other, press the sit bones back, see if you can make this any longer. And then inhaling, coming through to your high plank position. Now you might be coming through to a low plank, or you might be dropping those knees and finding your half chaturanga into a back bend. So it might be this low back bend here, cobra pose, no weight for the hands, just a baby back bend. Or you might be coming into an upward facing dog for your back bend. Either way, the legs are really engaged. My kneecaps here are lifted and I'm pulling gently on the buttocks towards the lower back, pubic bone to earth. Exhaling there, drawing myself back. Hips to heels, tucking toes under. Coming through downward facing dog if that's appropriate for me today. If not, substitute it for your child's pose instead. Let's come through a little bit quicker now, inhaling to a plank, kicking heels back, exhaling, coming through full or half chaturanga, into a back bend, and exhaling, downward facing dog. Land there, take a breath. Inhaling, coming forward, high plank. Exhaling, low plank, or half. Inhaling to a back bend. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Take a breath. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhaling. And exhaling. Taking that breath. One more time, inhale, exhale, inhale, and exhale. And taking a breath there. From here, we're going to start to step our right foot forward. So back knee now comes down to the earth, and I'm taking a little bit of a low lunge here. My fingertips could be to the earth, or they could be to my knee, whichever way works. I'm going to feel that pull back of my right thigh into the hip socket though. I don't want to think about opening up here. It's really still hips pointing forward, whether or not I've got the hands down or not. Now if you do need a little bit more space on this next one, our half Hanuman or half monkey pose, then feel free to grab a couple of blocks or a couple of books, whatever you'd like to. We're also going to be opening up into gate pose in a moment. So you may need a block for gate pose as well. Always good to have things that are handy around your mat just in case you need them. From here, once we feel the hips opened up a little bit, take a deep breath in And then exhale, I'm going to start to work the hips backwards, coming into this half monkey pose. I'm allowing my big toe to stay down to the earth to begin with, seeing how I feel about this one, and then if I want to take it further, I can start to draw upwards, kicking the heel away. And it kind of, sometimes called flointing, where I am pointing the foot a little bit, so the ball of the foot points away, but pulling the toes back. Kind of a hybrid between flexing and pointing. Now, from here, again, not so great for knee issues, but if we would like to, we're going to bring the sole of the foot down and then draw that left knee to the side. You'll see I pull that left heel in towards, coming straight into gate pose here, lifting upwards and exhaling. Rotating the chest. If you need to make any adjustments there in order to come into this one, please do. Inhaling from there, I'm going to reach that left hand up and I'm going to come all the way back, and this might be where you need that extra block underneath that left hand. Otherwise, right hand now is coming up and I'm drawing that hand up and over. Coming into these lovely sideways stretches. Now, from here I'm coming into pigeon pose and I'm going to face the back of my mat. So I draw that right arm around, and as I do so, you'll notice I drop my hip and I pivot again onto the knee. I might need to pick it up a bit, that's okay. I'm drawing the knee to point towards that left side of my mat and drawing my foot back. It can point towards my right thigh. It can be more parallel towards the top of the mat, but I'm not going to force it there. Lift the chest up and walk the hands forward, supporting yourself on the way down, opening up quite a lot through this left glute. Breathe there. Inhaling now. We'll start to work our hands in towards us, and we're going to pull our right knee nice and tight behind the left knee to come into cow face pose. So right knee comes into the left. Now take the feet in opposite directions. I walk the hips back again. Might need a little extra height here. So if your buttocks don't touch the ground evenly, give them a little bit of a shuffle until they do, or take extra height. Again, if you're feeling this one on the knee, completely omit this one. Take it into a different leg position and just work with the arms instead. So I often say an easy cross-legged or a diamond shape works just as well. From here, we're going to come backwards first. I'm going to land my fingertips down to the earth. I'm going to open up through the heart there. It's a bit of a counter pose to pigeon. Opening up the throat and the heart center. And then come forward again. This time walking the hands forward. I might decide that my belly is going to touch my thigh, and that might be where I'm holding. I might decide the chest can come down and touch the thigh. I might decide that the chin can come down. I'm going to hold anywhere there I'd like. Big, deep release. The glute med here on the outside edge of the hip. This is where we're really internally rotating the thigh. Opening up all through the outside edge. So you might feel it in the ITB, the iliotibial band, and the outside edge of the thigh there. And you might feel it into the outside edge of the hip. Inhaling from there and releasing, and we're going to do that same sequence now on the opposite side. The top leg here is my left leg, and I release that forward. That's going to be my lunging leg. From there I ease myself up and I adjust. Right leg's got to come back. from there and make sure I have my alignment. Either hands to earth or hands to thigh, whichever you would like to do. Again, there is that feeling of pulling thigh back into hip socket. So wherever we're at, reaching heart forward, big toe pressing down, thigh activating back, hips are squaring up, and we find that lunge again. Once we feel like the hips, in this case the groin, the inner thigh, it's opened up a little bit, I take a deep breath in, and then exhaling and I work it backwards. And once again, I'm going to hold there, big toe down to earth to begin with. And just notice what's going on. My knee's probably a little bit too wide there, for stability's sake. I'm going to bring it in. And then I can rise up onto the heel if I'd like to. There's a little bit of a feeling like I'm dragging that heel backwards. My knee here, you might not see this, but my knee is soft. There is a bend there. And that's really actually quite important because I don't want to collapse down into the back of the knee and make the joint take this. It's about opening up the muscles, yeah, gently, and not about forcing the joint into a position it's not going to go into. Because in that way we start to ruin our joint, we start to wear it, and we also perhaps start to tear tendon or muscle. Inhaling from there, I lunge back into that front leg. As I do that, pivoting on the knee, and you'll notice I brought the heel around. Once I'm there, I start to straighten out the leg. I might have to extend it a little ways, that's okay. There is still softness here to my knee as I reach backwards towards the front foot. There's a rotation here through the chest. Opening up through the sideways, breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in, lead with that right hand now. I'm going to bring it all the way back down towards what is now the back of my mat. And I'll reach the opposite hand up. Grab that block if you do need to. Bring it up and overhead if that feels okay for you. Tailbone still away. And then releasing nice and slowly. As I release, I'm coming to turn. This hip is rolling forward. I might need to pick my knee up and just place the shin down. Once again, move all the way around into pigeon, lifting the torso up, getting that nice length of the chest before laying it down. You can always support the forehead here. If it doesn't come gently down to the earth and it feels strange or odd, please feel free to support the head. Again, take nice deep breaths. I like to sometimes imagine that I'm breathing through the muscles that are tight. Very important to allow yourself this time on your mat, particularly if you've had a lot of time off, away from your mat, particularly if you haven't been doing as much yoga as you would have been doing, which is completely understandable. Take your time just to feel into the body. Sense yourself again. It's almost like we're polishing a spoon. Yeah. The spoon is still a spoon. It's not lost anything. We're just finding the luster again. Inhaling from there, walking the hands back in. Okay, again, coming into cow face pose. This time I drag that back knee in nice and tight behind towards my front knee. I take the feet in opposite directions, grab a block or a folded blanket or a cushion as long as it's firm enough, and allow your hips to come back. If you've come more onto one hip than onto the other, and for some reason I always do, then I give it a little bit of a shuffle. Find both sit bones down to the earth, and then decide, can I stay here? Can I sustain this? If I can't, that's where that height comes in. That's where it's necessary. We work the fingertips back behind us. Squeeze the shoulder blades open through the heart, through the neck. Nice deep breaths. In a lot of ways, it's the breath that is actually going to make us shiny again. It's going to polish away all of the doubt, all of the stagnation. Sit with that breath. And then let's come on forward. Work the hands forward again. This variation of sitting doesn't work for you. You found another way and you can still do this forward fold. From Sukhasana, easy cross leg position, or from your diamond shape. I might be deciding that I'm just landing my belly down and holding there. Might be deciding that I'm bringing my heart center down. Might be deciding that I'm bringing my chin across. Anywhere there that you'd like to go. From here, we ease ourselves back up. Yep. And we're going to release. This front foot comes forward, back foot now comes out. And we're find both soles of the feet to the earth. I'm going to work my hands backwards for a moment, heel of the palm down to the earth, and then let's take knees from side to side, just releasing any tension. It's also nice to rock the outside edge of the hip across the buttocks where we're just stretching and opening up. Come and find your diamond shape if you've not done so already. So heels will come in towards each other. And you can grab a hold of your feet there, lift the chest on up, and work the thighs on down. So I'm not adding forward fold here, I'm actually just activating those thighs down to the earth, checking in with the inseam, the groin, as we've done some low lunging. Nice deep breaths. This is a good counter pose to Gomukhasana, cow face pose, where we're internally rotating the thighs. Here I'm opening up by externally rotating. We're going to do something very, very similar on our back in a moment to end, which is really to test the range of our pelvis. And it's a bit of a pelvic reset. So let's come down onto our backs, releasing from there. I'm going to edge myself a little forward, and as always, coming down with control. So draw the shoulder blades towards each other, roll it down vertebra by vertebra, until the shoulder blades touch. Then from there we bring the knees in, and you can give them a little bit of a hug there. If hugging the knees or shins doesn't work for you because of this knee flexion, remember you can always go here. Yeah? Release the knee flexion and hug the thighs in instead. Now from here I'm going to leave the big toes to touch, and I'm going to have the hands to the outside edge of the knees. And we're pressing out as I'm trying to flatten the sacrum across the earth. Okay? I'm trying to roll my tailbone back down. Pressing the thighs into the palms. And then work the hands to the inside edge of the thighs and bring the thighs in towards the palms again. Still trying to seek that length. Flattening out, broadening across the sacrum. Widen the knees out a little bit, so about half of the full distance you could go. Again, we're going to do the same thing. And palms to the inside edge of the legs, and give it a squeeze. and go to your full distance without force, of course, just to where you naturally go to, and then press out. And then press in. Give those knees another hug. And release the legs lengthways down your mat. Let the feet fall out to the side, assuming a Shavasana position. If you'd like to go into another video straight from here, please feel free to press stop. However, if you're done for the day, take the time now to really rest on your mat, to really let go and to surrender. Here I want you to notice how the belly and the chest stretch as you breathe. Connect to the feeling of your skin, this wonderful living organ of your body. Connect to the sensation of the stretch and the retraction of the skin. We might feel the sensation of hairs touching fabric. You might feel the sensation of hot, cold. What else can you notice? Please feel free to stay with those sensations just as long as you'd like. Thank you so much for your attention. Namaste.